Hey guys, it's Troy. Well, you joined me here in Cornwall. So I'm out of London for a little while. I'm in Cornwall. I'm staying in a wonderful, fantastic beachside property. So if I look out the window, I can see the sea. The beach comes pretty much right up to the garden. And it's been awesome. It's great down in Cornwall. It's called the English Riviera for a reason, because the beaches down here are very beautiful, but it is bloody cold. It's really, really freezing. And there's been very stormy weather over the last few nights, and so it's been sort of quite hard to sleep at points. But it's also quite nice, because you know when you've got the sound of the sea, and you've got the sound of the waves, and the sound of the storm and the rain and everything, and you're kind of indoors, it's always quite nice. So anyway, that's where I am, and I've been here catching up with family and doing some bits and pieces of work as well. But what I wanted to talk about in today's video is happiness and how to be happy, which is a pretty damn big topic, let's face it, and we are unfortunately not going to get the whole thing sorted within this brief video. But what I wanted to do was draw your attention to one of my books, one of the books that perhaps is less well known of the stuff I've done, which is called 10 Times Happiness, Zero Bullshit. And the reason I wanted to talk about that is because in a sense, it links in with some of the stuff that I've been doing recently about charisma. Now, when my charisma and dating online course comes out, and by the way, a little announcement about that, that's probably going to be pushed back until late April or May because of the event that is coming up in Las Vegas and everything else. So, but that course is coming and it's underway. A lot of what I talk about in the Charisma and Dating Academy course is creating charisma, is maximizing your charisma. And the way that you do that, surprisingly, is not so much the sort of external techniques that you can use in terms of like eye contact and standing up straight and all of these kinds of things. Yes, those things are helpful, but fundamentally what you need to do is you need to get yourself sorted out internally. You need to get right with yourself, and you need to get happy, basically, or at least get some equilibrium into your life. And so that kind of really keys in with what I talk about in the book 10 Times Happiness, Zero Bullshit, which I wrote a couple of years ago now. It's been out for a couple of years. You can get it in paperback or you can get it as an ebook on Amazon. And it's not really about game. It's not really about dating skills. It's about self-development. And it's about my journey, if you want to use that rather tacky term, in terms of sorting out a lot of the issues that I'd had as a kid and becoming just more confident and more able to interact in the world. And yes, of course, that has applications in terms of dating. And my dating life improved exponentially as a result of the things that I describe in the book. But this isn't predominantly about dating. It's about something much more fundamental, which is getting right with yourself, getting to understand yourself, and then working out what the sort of impediments to happiness and success are in your life and removing those so that you're able to move forward. Now, people who know my story, I've written about it in the past, I've made content about it and stuff. I mean, I had a pretty tempestuous upbringing, I suppose. Family life there were ups and downs, as there are in many families. Then I left home and I went to university and I got really involved with alcohol, with lots of drinking, lots of taking naughty substances. I was really involved with the clubbing scene in Manchester, where I was living at that time in the north of England. And, you know, I had a great time, but I also had a very destructive time. And I kind of did everything wrong as far as the Twitter gurus are now concerned with somebody in their 20s. Because you know how now if you go onto Twitter, there are all these guys who are like, you know, in your 20s, you should be sober and you should not have a girlfriend and you should work on your business 20 hours a day and blah, blah, blah. I didn't do any of that. My 20s was a shambles. And to be honest, quite a lot of my 30s was as well, while I started to get to grips with these things. But for me, alcohol drinking was a real issue, and maybe that's another whole video. I can talk in more detail about that. I've certainly, as I say, done content on it before. I did a really good video with a guy called Conk where we talked about addiction and alcohol. You can find on my channel. But yeah, anyway, I had this issue with alcohol and some other substances and things and behaviours as well. And so I had to kick that. I had to get clean from all of that. And I did that when I was 27. And I did that by entering into recovery, going into a 12-step organisation, and working with other people who were able to help me to get over those issues and to sort out some of those demons. So what I describe in this book is I do go into that a little bit, because I think it's relevant. And what we will often say, people who are in 12-step recovery, is that if only people who didn't have these problems with substances or behaviours could have access to what we have here, because actually it's really, really helpful just in terms of having a good life, which is kind of what all of us want, I think. But what I talk about in here is some of the principles that come through that, but then some other things that I've sort of added in as well. So I basically tell you my story, if you like, in terms of some of the gory details of some of the things that happened to me when I was younger, and some of the disastrous scenarios I got into in Manchester, in other places when I was a younger guy, and I was very, very renegade in terms of my use of these substances and things. So I talk about the problem of unhappiness, and then I go through the process by which I believe that you can get to a place of, if not happiness, because I mean, after what is happiness after all? It's a kind of ephemeral term, but I go through the process by which I believe you can come to a place of some contentment in your life and some positiveness, and that's certainly what I've done. And the steps are smashing denial, accepting yourself, realizing that you're not in charge, very, very important and very difficult to do. Flipping the script on bad habits, which we all need to do. Reaching out to others, finding meaning, and then living the life you want, not the life you think you should, which is how I always finish up my email. So what I kind of done here is try to encapsulate a sort of recovery process, if you like, which is a process, as I say, that could apply to somebody who had an issue with substances, but equally to somebody who's just in a bad place in their life. Somebody who has, maybe bad relationships, no relationships, hasn't got the friendships that they want. You need to, deal with that stuff first so that you can get some equilibrium. And then you need to have a look at, well, what do I actually want to do with my life? And that's what I talk about in the last section of this, 10 times happiness, 0 bullshit, where under the banner of this live the life you want, not the life you think you should, I talk about my journey as far as work's concerned. And my journey as far as work's concerned was leaving the corporate space, becoming self-employed and creating content, what I'm doing now, in order to hopefully help other people and also to make a living for myself and to create the kind of life that I wanted. And for me, that's a really important part of the chain, because what I'm doing now, I am passionate about in a way that I was never passionate about work before, because it's my own thing. I'm creating my own content, I'm forging my own path, and I'm really helping people. And that's an amazing thing. And you can do that as well, but you need to put in the work, not just the work on the business, but also the work on yourself. So look, if that sounds of interest to you, if you're a bit stuck in a rut, if you are, maybe not so happy at the moment and you want to sort things out, this is available, 10 times happiness, 0 bullshit, by Troy Francis. It's on Amazon. You can buy it as a paperback or as an ebook. No audiobook yet, but we'll look at that for this year. So do head over to Amazon. I'll leave the link below and you can go over and snap up the book. It's not very expensive and it will hopefully change your life, because the stuff in there, I mean, no BS. I know self-development, self-help stuff, it can seem a bit cheesy. It's a bit like, oh, really? Are you serious? But 100%. The stuff in this book this is my real story. This is the stuff that changed my life, and it will change your life as well. And listen, if you get the book and you want to talk through anything, you need some advice, you can always reach out and email me, troy@realtroyfrancis.com, and I'm happy to, answer any questions that you've got. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. The link is below for the book, 10 times happiness, 0 bullshit. Please do subscribe to this channel and hit the notifications bell. Yeah, that's kind of it. Get on my daily email list, free article Monday to Friday, straight into your inbox, link below. And finally, there are a couple of overage tickets still available for the Rule Zero event in Vegas. So if you're interested in one of those, again, the link is below. Go to my site and you can snap them up. But there is only literally, I think, a couple left. So they will go very quickly. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Remember to grab the book, which I keep brandishing because I quite like the cover. Yeah, and we'll take it from there, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.